Hello and welcome to another technical analysis tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at how actually to use and to draw trend lines. So when it comes to drawing trend lines, it's quite important to be consistent, and it's important to, have a set of rules to adhere to. There is no universal set of rules about how to draw trend lines, but it's important if you choose to go with a certain method of doing it, then you need to stay consistent. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I do it. And from my experience over, various years of trading, this has worked very well for me. I've adjusted it a few times, but it has been working quite well for me. So when it comes to drawing trend lines, what you want to do, you want to find 3 touch points on a chart. Because if you have 2, you don't have enough, because everybody can always connect just, 2 points on a chart with each other. So then you get something like that, and it's a bit subjective if you actually have a trend line or not. But what you want is actually 3. Actually, you have 3 here, but you can always connect just something with each other, right? So you can connect, for example, these here with each other, and you could say that's a trend line, but actually you only have 2 points. So you want to make sure that you have at least 3, and 3 is actually the magic number, because if you have more, the trend line sometimes gets too obvious and too many people jump on it, and other people can exploit that, and sometimes then trades are not that profitable. So if we go with 3 touch points, what we can see here, we can actually generate a trend line with 3 touch points. So you've got 1 touch point here. You maybe have 1 here. It's a bit off, but in general, I'm not too worried if it's a little bit off, a few pips, because price action is too dynamic to always say, it needs to touch it all the time, 100%. Then you've got another touch point here, 1 that's very close here, pretty much 1 here, and that's where the breakout happened here. So you have pretty much 3 touch points. And what you want to do, the next question is, do you use the wicks, which is here, or the shadows, or do you use the bodies? The thing is, you can use either. You can use either the bodies or you can use the wicks, but the thing is, don't mix them. I would always stay consistent. So if you decide to connect the wicks, then always just connect the wicks in your trading system. If you connect the bodies, then always connect the bodies. In reality, that can sometimes, sometimes you might shift, but you need to stay consistent if possible. I've got one clear rule. I do not want to cut through bodies, right? So if I, for example, wanted, I could do that, I say I've got 1 touch point here, 1 there, but then I cut through bodies. I wouldn't do that. No, I never cut through bodies. That's my rule, and that invalidates many trend lines. So in this case, I stay with my rule. I've got 1 touch point here, a few here along this route here, and then 1 there, and that again is the breakout here. So that is my way of doing it. And in an uptrend, I usually connect the lows, and in a downtrend, I usually connect the highs, but in reality, again, sometimes you do it differently, but that's generally how I do it. And the way then that you can use that trend line, for example, is to, stay in the trade, for example, as long as we are working along that trend line, for example. As support, you can use a moving average. Now you can see that moving average, the 50, is actually quite far off. So what you can do is to identify a time frame for that moving average, like in this case, the 50-period moving average on the 4-hour chart, to choose a different time frame to make sure that it's a bit closer to the price action, and you can want to find one which actually is supported and respected by the price action. So in this case, the 1-hour 50-period moving average seems to work pretty well. It's very close to the trend line as well, and it seems to be respected by the price action. Sometimes what happens if you have one that is too volatile, it doesn't get respected by the price action. So you've got a lot of touches, a lot of cutting throughs, and you want to avoid that. So the 1 hour in this case seems to work pretty well. Sometimes the 2 hour, so yeah, that's fine. And you can see actually that here you are in this uptrend, and at the point where you actually cut through the trend line, you could use that as a possible exit. What then oftentimes happens is we break here, through here, and then you will have at some point here a resistance line or a support line of the previous swing low, for example. So you had here, you can clearly see that a lot of support back here, And that's why on the 4-hour chart here you have a lot of up and down retests and so on. We actually broke through that level. We actually broke through that horizontal support line as well. We then went up, actually retested that diagonal trend line, which is unusual. Normally when you break it and then you break through that horizontal one as well, you just retest the horizontal one. It's quite unusual to go all the way back and retest the diagonal one, but that's what happened. And again, we went through that horizontal one again, went all the way up again, and then actually found some support here at that support line, but then broke it. Then we retested that horizontal one, and that is then when we went down. So someone who would have been a more conservative trader would have identified, right, we are now falling below that moving average. You can clearly see how that moving average then provided some resistance here. Yeah, so the price action respected it. And not only that, but also that horizontal former support line became then a resistance line. And that was retest. At that point, then a trader, a very conservative trader, could have entered the into a short trade and would have made some gains, dropping all the way down here. Right, so that is essentially a good way of using trend lines and drawing trend lines as well. So I always connect at least 3 touch points. I connect the wicks or the bodies, but always stay consistent. When there's a breakout, I then use in addition horizontal support and resistance levels and moving averages in a time frame that is respected by the price action. So in this case, you can very nicely see actually how the price respected that moving average. All right, so hopefully that was useful. If you liked it, please smash the like button. And if you want to follow me on this TA journey, then please subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.